Let's move to another part of your analysis and introspection, which is mini, micro, and macro stories. This is one aspect which will let you zoom in and zoom out of your case study. Understand each and every detail aspect right from the building level to city level. It will make you more curious and intrusive to understand every aspect of your case study. Now let's understand what is mini stories. Mini stories are nothing but all the aspects that are related to the building and which is within the building. It can come right from the spatial planning, its zoning and circulation, how the interiors are being designed, what are the materials they have used, or what are the interior details they have done, what are the services that are being housed, what is the construction technology that is being used within the building. All those aspects will be included in mini stories. For example, if you're designing a hotel, how the hotel is been designed, what are the different levels of services that are being included, how the garbage chute is being given. All these details come under a mini stories. Next is micro stories. Now, this micro story is nothing but a relationship with building and a site. This is which is like it is around and within the site. So it can have small neighborhoods and the flora and fauna of the site, or natural features of the site, how the site is being circulated, how the building is oriented with respect to the site, what are the access roads, what are the entrances, what are the pedestrian roads, and what are the vehicular roads. So all these aspects come under the micro stories. Third one is macro stories. Macro stories is nothing but overall city of the site, or a town, or a village, or a district, a larger part, a bigger or zoomed out part of the city. So it can come the contextual study of the site, or it can have a lot of natural vegetation around the site, the main ring roads or main access roads to the site, context of the city of the people. It can come the business landmarks. All those aspects will come under macro. For example, a particular site in Madurai. The Madurai is famous for a particular region or a temple. So the religious aspect of the site, the macro level. This is called macro stories. Whenever you go either to your site of a case study or do your literature case study, categorize your details into these three categories. This will not just help you in segregating your details, but will also let you help to look into each and every aspect of the site. You will not miss out even a single aspect. It will also help you in scripting your whole case study, scripting your whole case study. Now, to understand this further, let us consider again our three examples of artist residence, healthcare clinic, and weekend resort. As we all know, in the previous sessions, we have shortlisted few examples. Now, let us go to those examples and how we have documented our our case studies into these three categories. Now, let's begin with first example of an artist residence and do our macro story. Whenever you want to go to your case study site, do all the pre-study and pre-planning. If the case study involves you to travel to another city or a country, it becomes all the more important to plan it. This will help you in staying away from the hassles and confusions and make you more confident when you are at the site. Booking tickets and opting for travel mode. Routes becomes your first level of macro documentation. There you understand how easily or how difficult are its access modes and routes. You might need to change the travel modes. Information about the city's transportation system also helps you locate the distance between the site and its railway station or airport or bus stand or any national highways. Then read about this on a Google and in books. Also, there might be some information about the place given by travel bloggers. They will not give you as per the architecture's perspective, but you might get some idea about it. Macro story, analysis, and immediate inference. This is how we'll divide our subcategories. First, you start packing your clothes considering the climate. If you pack sweaters and woolen clothes, it's but actually the climate is going to be cold. But if you pack cotton clothes, the climate is going to be either pleasant or hot. And if you carry an umbrella, of course, it is going to be a wet, uh, rainy season. It has hot winds and mostly hot outside. The climate of that area will be hot outside most of the time of the year. To reach the place, you take a cab from the station. Good connectivity from the site. The users have different means of transport. This particular aspect of information, you can get it from your Google Maps also. You can either take a printout and carry along with you and mark certain important information on the Google map itself. It's a populated city, feels some level of pollution, and it is also a financial hub of the country. These three are a similar type of an information, which we call as an context culture, how a city works, etc. etc. The building may have strategies to cope with these issues. Now let's go to understand microstory. Now microstory is of course the relationship between the site and the building. So first let us see what happens. What is our first observation when we enter the site? The main highway runs through the plot. The secondary road has the entrance to the plot. Okay. The main highway might not just running between the plot but around the plot or maybe around the neighborhood, and there might be secondary roads or uh, art, artery roads which might give direct access to the site. The roads and the connections. Understand how entrances and exits are tackled. So here it becomes very important to understand the vehicular circulation as well as the accessibility. Also through Google Maps you will understand the road connections. It had bungalows and small individual homes around it. Open spaces were also seen. It was a private zone with mostly residential homes with few public zones. The building density the zone around and with the zoning of the area. Certain aspects of volume for elevation design were considered. Also, the bylaws played a very important role in creating the density of the area. Now, let's study further micro stories. In the odd-shaped plan, the residence was kept at the broader area and negative spaces were utilized for landscaping. So my analysis is going to be site planning and landscape. My immediate inference is going to be how to define open, semi-open and closed spaces for my site. Here I understand site planning concepts and landscaping concepts. For example, I understand the orientation of a building, how a building was oriented as per the shape of the site. Secondly, I understand the zoning of the site, how built and the landscape areas were zoned. Also, how the negative spaces or how an odd shaped plan with negative corners were converted into soft-scape landscape gardens. So this is the basic concept that we understand when we immediately go to the site. Also, the parking for two cars were provided. The setbacks were given to every side, which became a hindrance to raise in volume. Here we understand how the bylaws and rules and regulations influence the design. We could see in neighboring houses of the similar in the neighborhood area also. Now let's go deeper into the site. Let's go into the building and understand its mini stories. When I entered the house, the entrance foyer had lots of plants and short trees. The entrance was also from the north side to enter the cool breeze. Understanding of the microclimate of an environment. Of course, the internal zoning and circulation and entrances were planned in such a way that they had kept microclimate of the site in mind. Even though the microclimate is important, creating a microclimate in the design is also very important. This particular effect change the internal breeze and wind of the building. It changed complete climate irrespective of its outside climate, which was hot and dry. The public activities such as hall and event space was at the entrance, and the artist's private studio and bedrooms were on the first floor. Understanding the user and socio-economic profile. This user-friendly designing was kept in mind. Segregation of public spaces and private spaces were very well maintained. Study different social aspects of artists and their lifestyle. The bedrooms were optimum for two people. The volume of spaces were experimented. Artist space was flexible based on his need. My analysis would be spatial planning, interlinking of rooms. Also understanding how much space two people would require. Understanding of how the artist can use multi-purpose, how an artist can have a multi-purpose purpose of any rooms, how he can use the rooms in many ways. His furniture was designed in such a way that it can have more than one purpose. The transition spaces were very beautifully designed. They had experimented with volumes, skylights, roofs. These little details completely changed the experience of the overall building. How the planning of internal spaces and playfulness in the volume can bring the dynamism in the design. This would be my immediate influence, my experience, what I felt when I was roaming around the house. I felt a lot of playfulness and lot of light, lot of breeze. This completely changed my uh, this completely changed my experience. When roamed the whole building, I could understand and visualize the plan. Understanding volume and form. Use of openings as voids and double height volumes can create beautiful forms. This was one way I understood that I can also play with my volumes and create uh, create juxtaposes, create beautiful forms, can play with solids and voids. And now let's move on to the second example, that is our healthcare clinic. Our approach will be same. We will be in a similar way. We will be having macro, micro, and mini stories, but our observations will change since our brief context and the challenge has changed. And based on those observations, our stories will change, our analysis will change, and our inference will also be different. Macro story analysis and immediate inference. Hot and humid climate, very congested city with very high population. When I reached the city, I experienced lot of humidity, lot of congestion, and lot of public areas were filled with very high population. Summers, my analysis would be, my summers will be hot and with rains during the season. High density area with lot of people coming to the hospital. Since it's a very high congested city, there are problems of hygiene and for that reason there are also many diseases, and for that reason this clinic was having lot of patients and lot of public coming to this clinic. So my immediate inference, planning has to be done keeping climate in mind, also keeping the context. Need to change the mode of transport to reach the center of the city. I understood how the city works, its transportation system, and about the people, how they travel. The design should reflect the vibe of the city. This city never sleeps. It is a very high economical zone. It has got a lot of opportunities, job opportunities, and business opportunities. And for that reason, this city has got its very fast-paced life. And the design of the clinic should reflect this into their characteristics. Well, that was a macro story, understanding the city. Now let's zoom in more and understand the site of health clinic. Microstory analysis and immediate inference. The plot is congested with all three sides of road access. Lot of pollution and traffic and noise. Parking was provided separately for visitors and doctors and other staff. Setbacks were provided for firefighting. Enough trees were planted. Small garden and sitting areas on the rear side. By analysis, understanding the site context. Of course, understanding the road access, pollution, traffic, these are very important details which needs to be kept in mind, and accordingly we need to orient our buildings. Accordingly we need to plan vegetation, accordingly we need to plan parking, vehicular, emergency exits and entries. All those aspects need to be kept in mind when you are designing such important building. Site planning and landscape design concepts as per the microclimate of the site. Microclimate was kept in mind, and these concepts definitely change the overall experience. tackling the issues of entry and exit points, security and pollution, zoning of pedestrian areas and vehicular roads to be kept in mind, setback as per the firefighting rules and regulations. Since this was a public building, also it was a medical clinic, firefighting uh, aspects were definitely kept at a important level. They were all the different areas were designed as per those firefighting rules and regulations. Now let's do the mini story of a healthcare clinic. Waiting areas and reception had double height volumes with enough natural light. Emergency rooms were kept separately with separate reception desk and entry and exit on the ground floor. Doctors' consultation rooms were on the first floor with big meeting areas in the center. Spatial planning, understanding different zones and its hierarchy as per importance and emergency. Uh, my analysis to this whole mini story is that we need to understand the important spaces, the emergency rooms when you're designing medical and hospital clinics. It becomes very important that emergency rooms and passages are kept hindrance free, and that is why specialized hospital planning and spatial planning is very important in this particular case study. Immediate inference, technicalities of each room, hospital furniture, understanding of working of rooms, natural lights and window positions, design of service code areas played a great role in the complete experience. Now let's come to the third example, which is bigger than the hospital, and that is resort. Again, there will be the same story. I'll pre-plan it, I'll book my tickets, I'll search on Google Earth, I'll search on Google Maps, I'll take a printout, and again, the same process I'll follow, and accordingly, I'll make my observations, my judgments, and analysis and inference. Now first, let us know what will be the macro studies for a result. Macro stories, analysis and immediate inference. The weekend getaway in on the outskirts of the two-tier city. This particular resort is located on the outskirts of two-tier cities, that is a city which is smaller but again it is quite developed. The road reaching the resort is very scenic. Good road connectivity from the main cities. It's surrounded by two medium-sized villages. Again, this analysis will give me the immediate inference of the connectivity of people coming to the resort. I'll have many customers who will be interested in this particular resort. Many tourists will be visiting the place and need to cater all the age groups. The climate is pleasant due to the site situated at higher altitude and surrounded by natural forest and a small stream. Very scenic views and lots of natural beauty. The most important one, we need to preserve the natural features. The design needs to be revolved around the nature. Now let's do a micro study for our resort. The site is a contour site. Many exotic species of plants and trees were found. Entry and exit points are same. Landscaping was beautifully blended with the natural features. Understanding the construction techniques, especially for contour sites, how to cut and fill the areas, where to take landscaping slopes, where to take cantilever terraces. These all aspects, technical aspects, were beautifully developed and designed as per the to enhance the overall site. landscaping concepts that supported nature and ecosystem, and site planning. Here, site planning made a major role in overall experience. The reason is because its original natural features. Understanding that how to design and plan sites, preserving the natural beauty and blending it with the site. Now let's move to the final section, that is the mini story for our third example, resort. Mini story analysis and immediate inference. Mini story. Different types of rooms were placed as per the hierarchy. Luxury rooms were placed at the top, providing the best view of the resort. Villas and luxury suites had separate swimming pools. Restaurants and spas were near to the stream flowing through the site. Spatial planning and landscaping. Understanding of zoning and connectivity of the rooms. Service areas to be designed. Interior planning and design of rooms keeping the visitor's taste in mind. And here we have come to the end of our analysis part. Again, it is a generic overview which has to be taken rather than specific, because nothing will match 100% to your design. Please remember, generic overview is important. You will not get any of the site which is 100% matching to your design brief. There will be certain differences, certain contextual differences, certain challenges which will be resolved differently for different types of people. So it will never match. There will be no example which will be 100% matching to your design. Please remember this. And here we have come to the end of our analysis part. Now we'll move on to the third section, which is inference.